Hey, this is Matthew Finlan from Hell of a Summer, and you're listening to the Horror Squad podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Horror Squad podcast. This is episode number 377, where tonight we will be talking about Dead Ringers, a pick from a perk from Shaylin, I believe it was, who picked this one. So shout out to Shaylin, who donated to our Indiegogo for the final episode. Thank you so much, Shaylin, for picking this, and we're excited to talk about it. We are, unfortunately, Toddless tonight. He is on vacation, but we're here with everyone's favorite, Steve.
I know what you're doing. You said the same thing about Todd when I was on vacation. I know your game, Joe.
Exactly. Steve, we got an interview tonight.
We do. We're going to talk to Matthew Finlan, who is promoting a new movie called Hell of a Summer, which was co-written and directed by Finn Wolfhard, of course, of Stranger Things fame and It. So we'll talk about that movie during What Watch. Both Joe and I watched it, and he's also the co-host of a TV show called Ghosting, which is a Canadian ghost hunting show. So I haven't done the interview by the time we're like doing this episode, but I'm really looking forward to talking to him about that because I love ghost hunting shows and ghost shows and stuff. So yeah, so stick around to the end for that interview.
Very cool. Yeah, and no spoilers, but he's actually probably one of my favorite characters in the movie, and I'm not just saying that because he's on the show today. But yeah, he was a great character, and yeah, Steve and I will review it during our What Watched segment. As far as any other updates, tickets did go on sale for It's Just a Bunch of Halloween Weekend. If you are an email subscriber, if you're not an email subscriber, you can get the link to that. Tickets go on sale to the general public the 13th, so next week. They'll go on sale to the general public. However, tickets events are already selling out through pre-sale. So if once it goes to the general public, you might be out of luck on some of these events. I know the trolley tours already, I think three of them have already sold out, and there's like only 5 tickets left on one of them. Vanessa's tea leaf reading is now like completely sold out, or there's only 1 ticket left for that. Brunch is, I think, half sold out. And our trivia event that we are going to be hosted is about a third of the way sold out currently. So tickets are really flying. And we have more events that we haven't even announced yet. So definitely if you want, head over to it's just a bunch of Halloween.com, scroll towards the bottom of the page. You'll see, sign up email list or whatever, and just enter your email, and that link for the tickets should come pretty quickly to you not long after that. So yeah, if you aren't already or you haven't already bought tickets, I would definitely recommend getting on before they go on sale to the general public, because I feel like once they go on sale to the general public, the rest of those events are going to sell out fairly quickly. So, and I'll keep you guys up to date on the rest of the events. The screening is currently on hold through the Cabot, but that is definitely still planning on happening. Just tickets aren't on sale for that yet. And then we're working on a couple of other events that are probably going to come to fruition, but we're still just working out the logistics for that. So definitely come. It's going to be an amazing weekend once again with the cast of Hocus Pocus, October 2nd through the 5th in Salem, Massachusetts. We will be there hanging out all weekend long. I would say if you just want to do a squad experience, we will be most prominently featured for trivia. We are going to be hosting trivia. I know Steve is going to be coming up with, I think, the majority of the questions for that trivia event along. I'm sure Todd and myself will help a little bit as well, but Steve will definitely be curating the majority of that trivia night, and we'll be hosting that. So definitely come out for that. That's going to be a super fun time. And then we will be at the autograph signing meet and greet on that Saturday. We will have a table set up. We'll have some swag and stuff. Maybe I'll bring one of my props from the movie to put on the table to get some eyes over there, and maybe it'll be a huge spoiler if you do come. I won't post pictures, but we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Yeah, and then Sunday, we are most likely going to be hosting the Q&A portion at the Cabot. That is subject to change right now. I'll let you know for sure once I know. That's still being worked out, but yeah. definitely come out. Amazing, amazing weekend. We had so much fun the past couple years, and this year I think is gonna be even better than before. So yeah, please come out and join us for that. Steve, anything else before we get into news?
Nope, it's pretty good. I'm excited for it and to seeing everyone again. And I'm glad that the tickets are going really quickly. So not super surprised, but yeah, definitely happy to see it done. You're always nervous before you don't know, yeah. So
Right.
it'll be fun.
Definitely. Yeah. And I think some of our listeners are already planning on coming out. So yeah, hopefully I don't think I would love to do like a meetup, but our schedule is so busy. It's like the one week our schedule is just insanely busy that whole weekend. But maybe we can try to carve out something to maybe at least do a lunch or just a very quick hang or something like that. But we'll give you more details. We're still 6 months out. So halfway to Halloween, which I should also mention, I guess. I will be at the Halfway to Halloween event also in Salem, Massachusetts on May 3rd. I know, I'm sure all of you Midwest and Western people are like, when are you guys going to come out to California? When are you guys going to do something not in the East Coast? We'll work on something. We might have something up our sleeves. Maybe next year or the year after, we'll work on getting out West Coast for you people. But yeah, I'll be at Wicked New England on May 3rd. That is also going to be in Salem, Massachusetts. It is a celebration for halfway to Halloween. I will be hosting the panels for a couple of local haunts. I'll be hosting it for Barrett's Haunted Mansion, which is, I think, considered, one of the best haunts in the country. So I'll be hosting the panel for them. And then I'll also be hosting a panel for a Halloween website. I can't remember the name of it right now to give full credit, but you'll see it. Come to the panel, and I'll be hosting that for the Horror Squad podcast, representing the Horror Squad podcast at that event. Also, our friend Sam, you might know her, former co-host of the show. She'll have a table set up as well, selling her stuff as well from Halloween Happy. So yeah, come on out. That's going to be also a great time. All right, Steve, that's our whole little spiel.
Hmm.
So now it's time to get to spill a little tea.
Let's do it.
Oh, you want the tea? I'm sorry. We don't serve tea. Nope. Instead, you get a cup of Joe. And now here's Joe with the news.
Alrighty, thank you so much, Chuck. And here you go, your cup of Joe for this week. Let's start off with a little update on Welcome to Derry, the television series. We have been talking about this, I think, now for maybe a couple years in our news segment. Well, HBO Max finally, or is it Max now? I think it's just called Max now. Max has finally come out with the news that Welcome to Derry will be premiering this year, folks. They posted a teaser picture on their website that just says "Welcome, to Derry premiering this year." They've also shown off a handful of new images with a coming to soon thing. As far as actual date, we still don't know that yet, but rest assured, it is going to be coming this year. My guess, probably September or October. What also we found out, this is going to be sort of, I think, a 3-season thing is kind of how they're imagining this, where obviously going to take place from the events of the It 2017 movie, but we are going to go back in time, I think, through 27 years prior and like prior before that and whatnot, sort of a prequel series. So yeah, 1935, 1908. We'll be going all back in time for this series, so it should be really cool. We're, with Bill Skarsgård coming back as Pennywise, obviously now very exciting. The Machetes are back. I think it's going to be a home run.
Yeah, I complain a lot about horror TV shows, and ironically, as like annoyed I am that they're all making TV shows instead of movies, my other complaint on the flip side of the coin is that we keep hearing about all these announcements and none of them ever come out.
Yeah.
Creep did the Creep tapes, and I still have to watch that. Apparently, it's pretty good. But this is one I had confidence that was going to come out, and it's nice to see that it's finally coming out this year. I'm excited for it. Since it has like the cast that we want, and it has the machetes involved and everything like that. I think it could be fun. So this is one that is definitely on my radar, and I'll probably check out.
Excellent. Yeah, maybe. maybe something we can review the
Maybe.
season when
You know,
it
I was
ends.
looking at our top episodes ever on the
Hmm.
podcast, and I think number 5 is the Chucky season that we did. And Stranger Things
Stranger
season
Things,
3 or
yeah.
4, maybe both are really high up there. So maybe people like when we do seasons. We don't want to do too much
Season
because it is
recaps.
very fucking t time
It's a
consuming.
lot,
But
yeah.
yeah, once in a while, and I think this one would fit in that mold.
Ag-
This is
uh,
Friday the 13th. I'm pretty excited for. So
yeah,
yeah,
agreed.
well, let's do it.
Well, Steve, you mentioned Friday the 13th. It wasn't my next story, but let's jump to it since you mentioned it as a good segue. As it was rumored, of course, you might have heard it on a couple episodes ago about Linda Cardellini starring as Pamela Voorhees. Well, it's official. It has officially been announced that Linda Cardellini will be starring as Pamela Voorhees in the upcoming Crystal Lake TV series from A24. I think it's a good choice. I mean, she's a great actress. It's going to be a prequel series, so like, she's not supposed to look like old mom Pamela Voorhees here. I like it. Good casting choice, in my opinion.
I agree. She's fantastic, like in pretty much everything that I've seen her in. She's just been in a lot of great stuff, and I feel that by attaching her, it gives the project like a legitimacy. It's just, yeah, I don't know. I'm like more excited about it knowing that they're attaching like a big name like Linda Cardellini. So I'm pretty psyched.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are going to complain about it being an A24 series. Yeah, man, I don't know. Like this, I mean, we'll get into it, but Hell of a Summer was an A24 movie, and that was a different vibe, I think, than most people would expect from an A24 movie. So I think they're like starting to branch off,
Well,
right? And
but
actually, it was Neon. I'm
yeah, I
sorry,
was gonna
right? Yeah,
say it
Neon.
was
I
Neon.
was I was wrong. But
And
I
I
mean,
also
X.
think that they bought it. They bought the distribution rights. I don't think they made it. So that's
Okay.
different to me also. I think. I'm not
Yeah, true.
100% sure, but I know this movie premiered like 2 years ago and it took a while to get a distributor. So
Okay. Yeah, look at X. I mean, there's an A24 example of a great slasher movie. I don't think they're going in this, the slasher realm with this one. It seems like it's going to be very like story based. So I think people need to temper their expectations that it isn't going to be a Jason Voorhees like slasher fest. You know what I mean? So I think people going into it with the right mindset, and support. I would say support it, rather than shit all over it before you see it, because I think maybe down the road it will open up, hopefully, the avenue for more Friday the 13th movies if this succeeds. So yeah,
yeah, I wholeheartedly expect this to be about a mom with a struggling with a special
yeah,
needs kid
sure,
and starts to have like kind of the system fails him, so she starts exacting revenge on the system and
yeah,
people who wronged her kid. So I don't expect this to be a gore fest. So yeah, I agree. People need
yeah,
to temper down their
for sure.
expectations.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely going to lean more drama, I would say, than horror. But yeah, maybe they'll surprise us. We'll see. All right. Next bit of news here is a Black Phone 2 update. CinemaCon happened, I think, a week or two ago, and some footage immersed from Black Phone 2. Of course, CinemaCon very strict about leaking anything, but the people who did go and see it did give some observations of what they saw. Apparently, the grabber is back, ladies and gentlemen. Ethan Hawke is returning for Black Phone 2. How is that going to happen? Well, apparently, they are taking a Freddy Krueger approach to the grabber. So here's a quick little thing about the teaser trailer from a person that was there. The teaser begins with a payphone phone booth off the side of the road in winter. Finney is walking and sees a payphone and stops when he sees the three photos being placed on a table, and then it cuts inside a basement with someone very slowly and loudly walking down the stairs. Later, Finney answers the phone and the grabber appears on the outside. Hello, Finney. Did you think our story was over? You of all people know that death is just a word. Finney is shown in the phone booth a lot with scenes of other kids being attacked and nearly murdered. But from what everyone is saying, it's pretty much like a Freddy Krueger movie with the grabber basically coming back, not coming back from the dead, but he's basically has demonic powers now, attacking kids for, whether it be in their dreams or some sort of thing like that. I don't know. How do you feel about this approach, Steve? I mean, I guess it's kind of the only way you can go with it, right? Because there's not going to be like a second grabber, right? You kind of have to stay with Ethan Hawke's character, right? And
Um,
is this like a Lin Shaye Insidious situation here where they're like, fuck, we fucked up and killed her way too early, and now we have to figure out ways to come back? Do you like the Freddy Krueger approach with the grabber?
Uh, it'll be it depends how they do it, right? Like it really, I'm curious to see how it's actually executed. I mean, this is horror. Horror is like just under comic book films where people are never really dead.
Yeah.
It's like so. However, they bring him back, like actually, yeah, I'm sure they're gonna figure out some kind of way, and we'll probably buy into it. Just because, like I said, it is horror, and maybe this franchise will lend itself a little bit more to that because it is a little supernatural, like in the way that it was presented in the first one. So, yeah, I'm fine with it. I mean, we could have another grabber that's influenced by the original, but I think it's a little bit of a Freddy Krueger or a Lin Shaye situation where, or fucking John from Saw. There's a example where I think they killed the antagonist a little too quickly. So yeah, we'll see
Yeah.
what happens.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is gonna do really well. It comes out October like 17th, so it's gonna be like that. Obviously the sweet spot for a Halloween like movie. People want to go see a scary movie, so I think it's gonna do really well. I think Black Phone obviously did really well from what I remember the first one. And yeah, I mean Ethan Hawke coming back and whatnot. Yeah, I see this being a home run for the studio. Whether it is a good movie, we'll see. I mean, I love Freddy Krueger, obviously. So taking that approach, if done right, it could be cool, or it could not. It could be terrible. We'll have to see. But I have faith in Ethan Hawke. As the actor, whether he's gonna have a good script to go with, that's the question. Because look at Jackie Earle Haley, obviously with Nightmare on Elm Street. So we'll see. All right. Steve, I know you are so excited for The Conjuring Last Rites, which will be releasing this year, I believe it is, finally.
Yep.
The unfortunate last movie in the Conjuring timeline, or is it? Well, don't fret, people, because we are getting more Conjuring movies, obviously, as the studio has announced that The Conjuring Last Rites that will end this Conjuring universe is only just phase one, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, so they are apparently going a Marvel approach here now, in this. One of the studio execs mentioned, he said, Conjuring Last Rites currently is testing through the roof with the director's cut. The 10-week part of the movie where you're normally very, very scared about the status of your film, but we're in the very early process, have very preliminary visual effects, but it's testing already through the roof. He also continued, so while this is the last of what we call phase one, we are hopeful that we can make more. Phase two is to be determined. Last Rites will be hitting theaters September 5th, 2025. Now, when they say end of phase one, what does that mean to you, Steve? Because I don't even know what that means, really.
I think it means, look, we went as far as we could with the actors of
Yeah.
the Conjuring franchise, and we need to start like kind of branching out and bringing in new ghosts, new demons to the franchise because we're not going to get, Farmiga and Patrick Wilson. We're not going to get maybe even Bonnie Aarons again. They're all aging, and it's time to kind of branch out, and they can, but is it the third Annabelle where they introduce like a bunch of new demons that they
Mm.
haven't done anything with?
Yeah.
And I mean, let's face it, this franchise prints money, basically, right? They're not gonna let it go
No.
anytime soon. So I think this is their way of saying, look, we're gonna do a reboot with the Conjuring name, but just don't expect to have a lot of the characters that you've seen at this point.
Yeah, all right. I'll go with it. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think it's just, obviously Patrick and Vera aren't coming back at this point, so it's like, where do you go from here? And I mean, yeah, there's more to explore, I suppose. Yeah, yeah.
Do
I
you
mean,
think
we
they'll
get
go with the young Warrens? Like,
that could be cool. Yeah,
I'm
get
surprised they
new
haven't done that in a
actors.
TV show, like a weekly kind of
Yeah,
almost, Ghost of the Week
another
series.
TV series, Steve.
I know. Well, they didn't. I think that was one of the ones that they had planned for a
There
while,
was a
and
plan. I think there was. Yeah, that sounds really familiar now
yeah.
that you mention it.
So yeah, who knows? I'm curious though to see what comes next. But I'm sure. I think they're going to do a Nun 3 because let's face it, Nun
Oh,
is a
definitely.
mega hit, and
Yeah.
they'll branch some of the stuff, right, just to keep it familiar. And
Yeah.
we'll see.
I'm surprised we haven't gotten another Annabelle,
So am I,
honestly,
actually.
either.
Yeah, because the last one did pretty well, if I remember.
They've all done really well, and it's been a little bit now because what are four, right? There's been four of them, I believe.
Annabelles? Three
I think
Annabelles.
is there only
Three
three?
Annabelles,
Okay.
two nuns,
Okay.
fourth Conjuring, and well, even if you count it or not, La Llorona was kind of part of it, but
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm trying. So it's Annabelle, and then what? Annabelle Creation, and
and
Annabelle
comes
Comes
home.
Home.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Two and three both really good.
I
And
agree.
then I
Yeah.
feel like they've gotten almost better. Well, two I liked a little better than three, but two and three are really good.
Mhm.
The Nun I don't think still has found her footing yet,
No.
like into a good movie. I think she could really improve. And then yeah, where else? What else do we have? Oh, La Llorona, which I don't think we'll ever see another one of
No,
those.
no, we're not. They're gonna forget that ever
Yeah.
happened. But I'm telling you,
Uh,
I think the key is the demons from the third Annabelle film. You know,
yeah. Sure. Yeah. What do you get? You had the guy with the coins in his
yeah,
eyes,
that
which
was a
is
spooky one. I
yeah.
have those coins. I got them in a box.
Nice.
Yeah, I think there's potential there. There's a lot of stuff. I mean, that fucking museum is packed of
Right.
stories and items that they could do. I bet that they bring in a lot of them in the last right, especially if they're planning a
Right.
franchise out of it. So we might
True.
see multiple demons to see what sticks, right? It's like throw everything
Hmm.
at the wall and
Yeah. You think Last Raid is going to right the ship after the sort of the huge disappointment that was
I hope
the
so,
last
but
one?
you never know. I mean, they said the same thing about the last Insidious, and I don't think it was amazing.
Yeah.
So, and they're
We're
making
getting
another one.
another Insidious. No, another one's coming.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like the fourth last Insidious what we're getting. So,
Yeah. It's like crazy. Like it's like yeah. Like how we already what is it like this is like the sixth Insidious now
yeah,
or
the
something
sixth
like
one.
that. Like they're gonna start catching up to like the original slashers. Like
Yeah,
they're gonna start catching up to Freddy, and they're getting closer to Freddy now. And
they are.
I mean they'll probably pass Jason eventually if with them all sort of sitting stagnant right now. So
Mhm.
yeah, we'll see. I've heard some updates about Freddy. Like this, they really want to push forward with the movie, but with
Rights
the
issues.
rights issues,
Yeah.
yeah, with it reverting back to Craven's estate and stuff like
Mhm.
that. So we'll see. I think it's just a matter of time, though. It's just a matter of time.
Oh, trust me, the second that they fix those rights issues, we're gonna get like 12 of them. So I'm not, yeah, I'm
Who
sure it's a
plays
rights issue.
who plays Freddy though? Like it
Hmm.
becomes the issue because obviously England ain't coming back.
No,
And it's like, what do how do you get the fans on board at that point? Like, it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be
right.
real tough, and I'm really excited to see where they go, like what route they go with it. But this isn't even part of my horror news. But yeah, I, I'm interested. I think it's just a matter of time.
Yep.
All right. Next bit of news: Happy Death Day 3. Apparently, it was shelved, but then hold on, folks. They are officially moving forward with it now. Jessica Roth did announce they did a double feature screening of the first two movies, and she was in attendance for it. And she did say during the Q&A that the third movie is moving forward with the original director Christopher Landon by her side. Landon was also in attendance, who also confirmed that it is moving forward. And that's really it. So it's basically just sort of hearsay for now. I mean, they say it's moving forward, but whether it's actually going to happen or not. Are you a fan of the Happy Death Day franchise, Steve? I
Uh,
mean, I know it's got a huge following. I like whatever about it
yeah,
personally,
the
but
same thing.
I understand that people really enjoy them and they're fun movies. I can't remember if I like the first one or the second one better
I
though.
like the
Like
first one better for sure.
the
The
second one
second
got
one
into
got
like
really
alien
weird.
territory or something,
Yeah,
right?
they're like messing with like time
Time
machines and stuff.
machines,
Yeah.
yeah. But whatever. I mean, they're fun movies, right? And I see no problem with them going forward. It's a very like just light, fun franchise that I'm okay with them bringing more and more on board. All right, just a couple more stories to get through here. Bring her back, ladies and gentlemen. The new movie from the directors of Talk to Me. I do want to clarify. I did see some people saying that this is a sequel to Talk to Me. This is not a sequel to Talk to Me. Talk to Me 2 is in development. It is going to be coming relatively soon, but this is completely different than Talk to Me and that sort of universe. Although it does seem sort of similar based on this trailer we are seeing, but I want to say this is not a direct sequel or anything like that. But yeah, the directors, Danny and Michael Philippou, they are back. Talk to Me was their debut. They, I believe, were YouTubers or something
Something
like
like that,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, that just sort of came out of. They were making, I think, like short films over on their YouTube channel, and then they got this deal to make Talk to Me, and obviously was one of the biggest horror hits within the last 5 years. It was my number one movie of the year. But yeah, so they are finally back with their new movie, Bring Her Back, which will be hitting theaters on May 30th, 2025. The quick synopsis of it: a brother and sister uncover a terrifying ritual at the secluded home of their new foster mother. Steve, we both watched the trailer. What are your thoughts?
It looks good. It looks very typical A24,
Hmm.
with the trailer, but I'm digging it so far. It doesn't show too much, shows just enough to kind of get things going. And yeah, I mean, I actually thought it was a Talk to Me sequel because that's all I saw it as, and I forgot to look
Yeah.
at the trailer. I thought it would be actually a great name for a Talk to Me sequel, to be honest. But yeah, it looks good. I'd definitely go see it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it looks awesome. It looks very. I could see why people are confusing this with a sequel. To Talk to Me because it does look very, very similar in a lot of ways with sort of the possession and everything like that. The lead actress in this, I forget her name. I've seen her like everywhere. Like she's in like a lot of good movies. Was she in Shape of Water, or did she just look like the same
I
person
didn't even look
from
up the
Shape of
movie, so I
Water?
don't know.
Okay. Um, but yeah, she's I've seen her in quite a lot of things. She's like a really, really good actress. So, um, I'm excited for it, man. It looks like there's some really legitimately creepy, stuff going on here. And if it's anything like Talk to Me, it should be great. So yeah, I'm sure we'll be covering. It's a huge release, so I think we'll be covering that when it does finally release.
Yeah, she is Shape of Water. It's the main
Yeah,
girl in Shape of
the
Water. Yeah.
main lady in Shape of Water. Yeah, great actress.
Yep.
Okay, let's do one more story to wrap it up. I did tease this last week, a little Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise update. The studio is very, very involved right now in wanting to make new Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies right now. The agency that has had the rights since 2017 currently have been pitching to studios about releasing more Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies. The most interesting one currently being pimped out right now is Strange Darling filmmaker JT Molnar has been at the forefront of the conversation of a new Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie with in-demand actor Glenn Powell of all people at the helm, which I think is a fantastic choice. I mean, the guy is, from Twisters. Most of you know him from Twisters. He's been in kind of all over the place. I think he was in that movie with Sydney Sweeney, that rom-com recently.
Yeah.
Dude's been everywhere, basically. I think he was nominated for an Oscar,
Yeah, he's
recently or
he's going
something
to
like
be
that.
in The Running Man coming out this year.
Okay,
So
yeah. So, yeah, yeah. I mean, that would be amazing. So currently in a bidding war for this potential vehicle, with the Glenn Powell and JT Molnar, Lionsgate and A24 are apparently the big bidders in this war right now. There's a lot of things going through right now. The IP, obviously, from an executive, the IP is in high demand, and franchise rumors have been circling since Netflix's obviously last installment of the movie. So it seems like a new Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie and or multiple movies is very imminent. I am rooting for the Glenn Powell led thing because I think he'd be perfect for that thing. It'd be really cool getting like a actor that prominent involved in a franchise like this. I think would finally bring some legitimacy back to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise. So fingers crossed.
I agree. I enjoyed the last Texas Chainsaw Massacre. The remake was fantastic in 2003. It's a great franchise if you do it well. It's so gritty and grimy, and I think Glenn Powell plays that perfect, like kind of Texas boy that could be in something like this. And yeah, I'd totally be down for. whatever. Really, I love that franchise. I mean, they're not all hits, but there's a lot of really good bangers in there.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, I can't believe we didn't get another one after Netflix. I mean, what's it been like?
Yeah,
5 years? Like already?
it's been at least 3-4 years. It's been a
Yeah,
while.
it's crazy. So hopefully more slashers on the way for you slasher fanatics. I've noticed the older I've gotten, the less I've gravitated towards the slashers, or the less like I like them, but I never like rate them higher than like a 7 or 8 like nowadays. But I'm still waiting for another one to blow me away. I think X was probably the closest
It's good.
one,
Yeah.
the last really great one to do it. So yeah, the slashers are never gonna die. They're always gonna be here, and we'll see. The Mailman, maybe, will be the
Maybe.
next great
Very likely.
slasher.
Yeah.
We shall see. All right, that is it for horror news this week, folks. Yeah, once again, if you ever want to send in your own horror news, feel free to send us a DM, an email, or we have, I think, a horror news section in our Discord. You can leave it in there, and we'll tackle it every 2 weeks on the show. Alrighty, Steve. I think it is time now to head into some what watched. Should we start off with our interview movie?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's start off with 2025's Hell of a Summer, which you can watch over in theaters right now. So, Hell of a Summer is a story that it's basically a bunch of late teens, and they're about to be like camp counselors at this camp. And the main guy is a 24-year-old, and he's still a camp counselor, and everyone's kind of making fun of him because he's a little old to do that. But he really loves that camp, and he really wants to do good by the people who are going to go there. He so they all gather and they start to get the camp ready for the kids. It's like a few days where they kind of get things together and just basically prepare the camp. But all of a sudden, the two people who run the camp are missing. It is explained in a note, but they start getting suspicious about it, and then the counselors start getting killed. And it's for them to try to figure out who's doing the killings and why. So, yeah, Joe, what did you think of Hell of a Summer?
Yes. Did the dog barking pick up there at
Yeah.
all? Oh, wow. Shocked. All right. I did get a new dog, ladies and gentlemen, which I don't think I announced on the show. So, yeah, shout out to Abra, our new dog. She's a good little doggy. So, maybe I'll post I think I posted pictures in the Discord already. So, you've seen her. All right. What did I think of Hell of a Summer, though? Yeah, man. I remember seeing this trailer quite a few times when, going to see movies and stuff like that. And to be quite honest, it wasn't anything I was super excited about. But I was like, they sent us a screener. So shout out, thank you so much for sending us a screener in lieu of for this interview. So yeah, I was like, once I got the screen, I was like, oh yeah, definitely. I'm excited. I'm excited to check it out at least. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Kudos to Finn Wolfhard for writing, and did he direct this as well? Yeah, he
I think
wrote and
co-directed,
directed,
yeah.
wrote and co-directed this. So kudos to him for doing that. I mean, I think Steve and I can attest it's not easy, doing that. So I give him a lot of credit for that. It's a fine movie. The film has a very fun vibe to it. I will give it that. I will say the comedy lands most of the time. I would say like 80 to 90% of the time, the comedy was very good. Like I found myself, not like belly laughing or anything like that, but kind of, saying, oh yeah, that was a good joke, and whatnot. So, this definitely obviously is definitely more comedy horror than, like horror comedy, I would say. Because the issue with the movie is I feel like the horror definitely takes a back seat for the majority of the movie. They're more geared towards the jokes and the comedy and don't really care about the horror aspects of the movie, which I think is where this movie ultimately fails. Most of the kills were off screen. The times they did show the kills though were pretty good. Were pretty great. I just wish they did more of it. The killers and their motivation, I wasn't. It just like felt like a rip off of other slashers I've seen very recently. So that was just kind of like and then I didn't like the look of the killer. It was sort of this sort of cheap, almost haunt knockoff, looking thing. Just yeah, and the movie just really lacked tension in the horror moments. I also found, I felt like most of the characters were fine, some better than others. But yeah, I mean, I didn't really find myself caring for most of them. So when they did die, I was just kind of like, whatever. But I did really like the lead guy, the 24-year-old, camp counselor, and his jokes were pretty good. And then the kid we're doing the interview with tonight, who's sort of the flamboyant, type character who's like always has sort of a fun little quip. He was really funny as well. But yeah, man, it dragged for me in the middle, and for a movie that was only like an hour and 26 minutes, like I was like, man, this movie almost over. Like at some points, which is never like a good sign. It just needed some more kills. It needed a little more sort of horror aspects to it. Now, that being said, it's definitely not a terrible movie. It's definitely watchable. I would say, if you can find it on streaming somewhere once it hits there, it's worth a one-time watch, but not something I would go out of my way to watch again. I gave it a 2.5 out of 5.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what you said. It's a horror comedy, but there's definitely the comedy was definitely a lot better than the horror part. I don't like that they do off-screen kills for the most of it. That's kind of like if you're trying to get the horror audience, that's what they want to see, The comedy just elevates your film. It shouldn't be like the focus of your film. Having said that, though, like I said last week, I love summer camp horror. It just there's something about it that's like almost like a comfort zone for me. And I really enjoyed the summer camp aspect of this. I like you said, the star, which shout out to him. So this movie first released in festivals in 2023, and he like landed a massive role after this. He's one of the emperors in Gladiator 2, with Joseph Quinn being the other emperor in Gladiator 2. So that's really fucking cool. Didn't even recognize him because he's so different in that movie. And yeah, Matthew Finlan, like you said, very funny. Steals a lot of the scenes that he's in. It's cool to see Finn Wolfhard do something a little like more like small scale, and you give him credit for where it's due. He's really staying with the horror genre. He's trying to make stuff in the horror genre outside of Stranger Things and Ghostbusters and all that stuff. So I think that's good for the genre to have a big name like that kind of representing it. So yeah, I enjoyed watching it, but like you said, it needed better kills. It needed a way more tension. And obviously I won't spoil it because it's in theaters, but the whole killer, I guess, reveals and all that stuff. Yeah, it was too basic. Like the film doesn't stand out in any way, and there are way better examples of this. So I gave it 3 out of 5 because I did enjoy watching it this one time, and I would recommend people, especially if you like kind of camp horror films. But yeah, check it out. Hell of a Summer over in theaters right now, and our interview with Matthew Finland at the end of the show.
Yeah, yeah, I think like this would be a fun one to watch with like a group for
Mm.
sure. Like, especially like in this around the summertime. Maybe you could do this like at a camp or like a cabin or out in the woods, like a screening thing. It'd be a really fun time with like a crowd. So yeah, it's definitely one to you know, check out.
Yeah, you know
Uh,
what else is fun in a crowd, Joe?
ooh, what's that?
I'll go next because I want to talk
Please.
about the movie that we watched at the last movie club, which was
Ah,
last Friday.
yes.
As voted on by our listeners, which is, I make the choices for the votes, but they chose this one. We watched 2015's Four MILFs versus Zombies. But if you're looking for it on Letterboxd, it's just MILFs versus Zombies for some reason. I'm not sure why, but it is what it is. So this story is basically just a bunch of people who go to a party and they're celebrating like ladies' night, and the town is overrun by zombies. And basically, the people in the house and the friends group are trying to take down all the zombies in the town, which leads to kind of the four MILF, but really they're like pretty young MILFs, I'd say like almost 25 to 30 at most. It's really up to them to kind of save the day. And yeah, I mean, the premise is weak. It's very, very basic. I honestly expected the worst with this because let's face it, it's like a Tubi movie. It's got a ridiculous title. The poster is like insane. And I gotta say, as bad as it was, and trust me, it was bad, I had a ton of fun watching this one, especially in a group. I mean, this movie throws fucking everything at you. We're talking zombies, clowns, gimps, man babies, incestual lesbian sisters, old lady dominatrix, and so much more. It just fucking nonstop. This house that the party's at, just every scene is like a different room with a different like crazy ass character in it. It has a ton of kills. The special effects are like 95% practical and they look cheesy, sure, but man, they did not fuck around. Like that was their whole budget and it shows and I think that's actually a good thing. You know, they really like give us unique kills and there's lots of blood and they're over the top kills. I mean, the movie is predictably childish. You know, it's a lot of fart jokes, sex jokes, and pop culture references. But man, like for a movie with such a low budget, there's like a lot to it, and I was impressed. And the people at the movie club were actually surprised that I rated it so high, but I had a blast watching it. Like this is, you know, this is what I expect from low budget, like really low budget horror. And in a group, yeah, I give this 3 out of 5. Without a group, I'd probably more lean toward more like a 1.5 to a 2 out of 5. But in a group, holy shit, we had so much fun watching this. So I would definitely recommend it and recommend coming to movie club because man, it's such a we had a like really good showing for this one. The people come in for the MILFs, I guess. So the next one is actually going to be so people had asked like, can we mix like crazy ones and serious ones? So the next one's a serious one, quote unquote, and we're doing ABCs of Death 2, which isn't super serious. You know, if you've ever seen the series, it's basically 26 short films, one for every letter of the alphabet. And I like the series, and you don't need to have to watch the first one to watch the second because they're not related at all. So yeah, come on down. It's the last Friday of the month at 9 p.m. Eastern. Just join our Discord. So that's Milk vs. Zombies. You can watch on Tubi. 3 out of 5 stars with friends.
Yeah, excellent. I'm definitely adding that to the list for like the next time I'm with a couple of my buddies to watch it
It's a
'cause
blast, dude. It's
sounds so
ridiculous.
fun.
It's just because it gets weirder and weirder for no reason, and it's just
Mhm.
like, what the fuck? And it's so low budget, but yeah,
Yeah.
I had a blast.
I also think ABCs of Death is like a great movie to watch like for a movie club because like they're all just such like short movies. So like, you know, people with shorter attention spans and stuff like that, you just go like it was like whatever 20 was it 26 different movies or
Yeah.
whatever like that. So it's really fun. I
That,
remember
that,
two being a lot better than one too, from what I
yeah, that's
remember.
why I picked it
Yeah,
because I thought it would translate well to a
I
movie
think
club
it
type
will.
environment.
For sure. Move a movie club to a Saturday, Stephen. I'll definitely be there
Oh, I'll do it.
for one of these, please.
One time I'll do it.
I will. I will. Yeah, I promise. If you move to a Saturday, so I can attend now,
All
because
right.
my work schedule changed. If you do that for me, I'll definitely
Maybe in
attend.
May we'll do
Okay.
and I'll even let you pick the nominees.
Oh.
So
All right. Wonderful. All right. My only one tonight is a 2025 release. It is a movie called Opus. This movie stars John Malkovich and Ao uh, Deribi. You know her from
there, right?
The Bear. Yep. The Bear fame. Yeah, this one is about Ao is a young writer. She's writing for this like I think pretty prominent sort of pop culture type magazine, think maybe like a Rolling Stone type magazine. And basically she's trying to get her name out there, trying to be like known and stuff like that. She wants, you know, to sort of be like a really famous writer, essentially. And then one day it is sort of out of nowhere. It is announced that John Malkovich's character, who is known as Alfred Moretti, is making a comeback after 30 years. He is basically like, think Elton John, basically, if he disappeared for 30 years and comes back. He is releasing an album for the first time in 30 years. They made like an announcement online, like everyone's like losing their shit. He is like considered one of like the biggest, you know, pop stars of all time, essentially. And for whatever reason, he sends Ao and her the guy who like owns the magazine or like the head writer or whatever. He sends both of them invites to come to the premiere of his album along with other influencers or music writers and stuff like that. So you got a pretty decent cast here of people. You got Juliette Lewis is also in this as well. But yeah, so basically, oh, and also shout out to Amber Mid Thunder, who you know from Prey fame. She's in this as well. So basically, the group of them embark on this, weird journey. Like they go into like the original bus that Alfred Moretti owned, essentially, and they're like, "All right, we're gonna take a 5 hour journey to go. Please be prepared, or whatever." They get there. And what they find essentially is this like really bizarre compound with like a bunch of people like working like for Alfred Moretti, who essentially seems to be this weird cult leader now, and everyone's sort of like following like everyone around, all of the people that are there. People then start mysteriously disappearing along the way, and yeah, I'll leave it at that. I haven't really heard too many people talk about this movie. It kind of just sort of came and went. I feel like when it hit theaters, and for a movie with John Malkovich and Ao, I'm just gonna call her Ao because I'm gonna keep butchering her last name. Two like very huge actors right now, along with Juliette Lewis. I was like very surprised. Yeah, I see. I was surprised to see it. It didn't get very good ratings on Letterboxd, but I'm going to be, I guess, in the minority here and say I really enjoyed it overall. I'm always up for a good cult movie, and this one I think does it pretty well. Obviously, you have a fantastic cast here. It's really well acted. John Malkovich is pretty hilarious, honestly, as Alfred Moretti. Like he does some like crazy like dance moves and like humping action and shit throughout. It's he's really really funny in this. But don't it's definitely has some great comedic moments, but it also has some really good horror moments as well here. It's like cult horror, so there's nothing like jump in your face horror like that or whatever. So kind of curb your expectations for that. There are a couple moments I think that blatantly ripped off Midsummer in some ways. So there's definitely like some familiar territory here. I definitely got Midsummer vibes and also sort of the menu, but if it was a musician rather than a chef, basically. So it definitely felt like familiar in those aspects. So I think if you like either of those movies, I think you would definitely enjoy this one. Is it as good as either of those movies? No, definitely not. But I think it's a really fun time. It's definitely one I would personally watch again because I think it's really solid. But yeah, good laughs, good tension, solid mystery. I give it 3.5 out of 5. Not
Is
gonna
it
make my top 10,
so,
probably unless this year's.
right.
I mean,
Is it
right now
horror
it's in my
enough?
top 10. Yeah, I would say so for sure. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's a couple of moments that are legit horror.
yeah.
So
The top 10's not getting a lot of action this year.
no, man, like I was like looking, I was like, shit, man, this year so far, like last year, like I felt like early on, like we had Late Night with the Devil that
Mhm.
came out. I think it was like February or March, and we had Stop Motion, which came out earlier. Right now, it's like, I mean, what's
Companion, maybe is
Companion,
like
Companion, and like last year, Companion would probably be
low
like
10.
lower top
Yeah.
10. Like right now, it's my number one. So, but there's a lot of heavy hitters still to come, and
Always, yeah.
we're still early in the year, so hopefully it improves. But yeah, right now, not looking like a great year so far.
All right, I got one more. So speaking of Shaylin, who actually is the one who bought the perk for us to watch Dead Ringers today, she was also the April, monthly challenge that I do on Discord, where people pick a movie for me, I pick a movie for them, and her pick for me was 1986's Gothic, which I believe she had picked for you as well last year, and you had actually watched this
That's
one.
one of
This
the
is
ones I actually watched.
yeah.
Yeah.
So there you go. So Gothic, I found it over on Tubi. So it's the story of like these writers and poets that get together for a weekend in one of the guys' like giant mansions, basically. And they start to get together, and then they take this weird like hallucinogenic drug, and the rest of the story is basically them hallucinating all of this crazy shit as it inspires them to write stories in the future. So this is basically a very loose interpretation of an origin story for how Mary Shelley wrote Frankenstein. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, the film felt like a horny fever dream. Honestly, like these characters are fucking constantly horny and constantly seeing all of this like really interesting imagery throughout. It's got compelling visuals. It's got pretty good characters. It's got great actors. You know, you have the late Julian Sands in this. You have Gabriel Byrne, and a bunch of others. And I really like the mansion or the estate in the film. Like it's just a really cool place and it has like interesting rooms and stuff like that. I did find the story hard to follow, and that's probably on purpose because it is like a kind of a drug-induced movie. I will also say I was kind of bored at times. It felt long, you know, because it isn't like a kind of story-driven film. So your mind starts to wander when there's nothing going on screen, or they're just having kind of this dialogue and I found myself like by the end just waiting for the next scare, and that's not a good place to be. But I'm definitely glad I saw it. It's been on my list forever. I remember like seeing this cover way back in the day when I used to go to video stores as a kid. It just marked me having this little kind of demon dude on a woman. It's also the imagery that people use for sleep paralysis. It's like kind of like an iconic like I think it's a painting that you know people associate with sleep paralysis because a demon is like sitting on your chest and you're seeing shit and stuff like that. So I'm glad Jalen picked it for me. Finally knocked it off the list. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. It's not one I'd really want to watch again, but I'm definitely happy I watched it. And speaking of Shaylin, I also gave her a film, and I gave her it was 2021's The Medium, which I had really enjoyed. It's basically a ghost film, and her review was she didn't know much about the movie and ended up really enjoying it. Felt like very real in the beginning, like watching an HBO documentary. While it started a little slow at first, once it picked up, it kept getting more intense, kept me engaged, waiting to know what would happen next. I think the cast did an amazing job. The family dynamics felt real. She gave it 3.5 stars out of 5. So I really recommend The Medium. I fucking loved it. It was crazy.
Nice. I don't know if I've seen it. I
You
don't
don't. It's like
it doesn't ring a bell.
it's like Taiwan or Vietnamese or something. The film, and it's like this girl who, yeah, it's like it's really good. It's almost found footage, but not quite. It's
Oh yeah, I saw that.
yeah, yeah. I figured
Yep.
you might have.
I gave it 3.5.
Yeah,
Yes.
same as her. Well,
All right. Wonderful. Yeah, I think I watched it based on your recommendation actually.
yeah, I think that's one I like told you guys to watch before the end of the year type of deal.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. All right. Well, thank you everyone. And now it is time for our main event of the evening, 1988's Dead Ringers, directed by David Cronenberg, starring Genevieve Behold, Heidi von Pulaski, Stephen Lack, Shirley Douglas, and Jeremy Irons in his dual role as Bev and Elliot. Plot. Twin gynecologists take full advantage of the fact that nobody can tell them apart until their relationship begins to deteriorate over a woman. Okay. Not bad, I suppose. Todd is not here. So, Steve, you got some shoes to fill. Small shoes? Big shoes? I don't know.
Pretty big shoes. Yeah.
Big shoes? No.
Yeah. Yeah. So the story is basically these two twin brothers who they grow up to become gynecologists. They make a real big point to show that they're born and raised in Toronto and went to Cambridge for absolutely no reason. I don't know why they make such a big point of that. It has nothing to do with the story whatsoever. So as adults, they
Is it a prestigious school?
I don't know, is it? Well, they went to school in Cambridge. I don't know. Is there?
Oh, wait, Cambridge like Mass?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah. They probably went to MIT, I'm
there you
assuming. Yeah, it's like one of the...
as a doctor, though?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what MIT I guess they're kind of big for their science program. I don't
Uh,
know if they do
uh,
doctors or not. Harvard, maybe? Harvard, I think, has a doctorate school, so it could have been
is
Harvard
that in
too, I
Cambridge?
suppose. Yeah. I
Okay.
mean, they're both like right outside of Boston, so I
Yeah.
think Harvard's considered Cambridge. I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
it's just weird because like they start to film like boom, Toronto,
Yeah.
Canada, this date, and then boom, Cambridge, Massachusetts, this
Oh,
date.
that's right.
Then
Yeah.
again, boom, Toronto, and then never
It's to let them
again.
know they're
Zzz,
smart.
apparently. Anyway, so yeah, so these two brothers are gynecologists, and they work together in a practice. One is like more of the behind the scenes guy. The other one does more of like the practical like gynecology exams. But they also sometimes pretend to be one another because they're so identical that people can't tell them apart. And because of that, they like sleep with the same women and they send each other to meetings or to like dinners and stuff like that, just so I guess the brother who can deal with it the best, or they play on their own kind of strengths and weaknesses. But then they meet a woman, she's a an actress, and they, once again split their time with her without her knowing, and they kind of both fall for her, but one more than the other, Bev. But then she, catches on because they, despite being identical physically, their temperament is different, and she's starting to notice that either they're schizophrenic or there's something weird at play here. And so she figures it out, and then it becomes kind of the brothers trying to deal with that situation, which leads to them kind of falling apart and falling, kind of further and further together. So this film really deals with twins, what it means to be twins, and they talk a lot about conjoined twins, which is weird because they're not conjoined, but I guess spiritually they're conjoined or whatever it is. So yeah, I had never seen this personally. I don't know if you had, but I'm curious on your thoughts on Dead Ringers.
Yes. I went to my notes on Letterboxd and realized I didn't write a review yet for it. So,
Oh.
all right, but yeah, I'll go off memory because it's been like a week since I watched it. Yeah, man, I also have never seen this one before. I had always heard like pretty positive things about it, so I was excited to check it out. Obviously, it's Cronenberg, so like right away that piqued my interest. Jeremy Irons always amazing in this, and the fact does a dual role in this was great. He was I mean, Jeremy Irons just obviously carries this movie, man. He is just so good in his dual roles in this. Like it's amazing how he plays the twins, but like they both are so different that like
Mm,
even when they're like off screen, like which is which, just based on sort of the mannerisms or the personality traits that they have. I mean, he was just so good in this. Um, Overall, I liked this movie quite a bit, but where I am conflicted here is I got to question whether this is even really a horror movie, like at all. You know, I feel like this is definitely more like drama and really not even like a thriller mostly. Like it's very like family drama dealing with addiction type movie. So it kind of threw me off. There's like minimal body horror in here. Like Cronenberg, the like king obviously of body horror. There's really only like maybe one body horror scene I could think of, and it was like in a dream sequence. So I'm conflicted because like as a just like a movie, it's great. But if we're like talking about a horror movie, I think a lot of people would be very disappointed coming out of this. But yeah, I mean, like I mean, I'm interested to hear what your thoughts on this. But like, overall, I enjoyed it, but I don't really consider it a horror movie.
yeah, I am also conflicted on this one. I'm kind of like of two minds. As a movie, I thought it was fine, but not a whole lot happens,
Right, yeah. And
for
it's 2 hours.
yeah, for such a long movie. But on the flip side, Jeremy Irons, like you said, holy shit, what a fantastic performance. And
Hmm.
like that, what their girlfriend says in the movie, physically they're identical, right? And they don't make him look different in any way. So if they're standing next to each other, you shouldn't know who is who. But as you get to know them, you figure out just by these little mannerisms and the way they speak and their tone and everything that which brother is which, and that's brilliant because
Hmm.
both on David Cronenberg's side, but also on Jeremy Irons' side because he plays those characters opposite so well. And I gotta say, this is a late 80s. It was fucking flawless to have the same actor play twice. Like they're crossing each other, they're
Oh
facing
yeah,
each other.
definitely.
You know, at first I was like, okay, they keep like cutting to shots one to the other. I'm like, oh, okay, they're they're gonna do that. But eventually, honestly, it felt like he had a twin brother, and they both played the role. Like,
Hmm.
holy shit, David Cronenberg, flawless. I'm telling you, it's very rare that I noticed that there was an other actor involved. Only when a few scenes, like specifically the body horror scene where they're attached by the stomach,
Hmm.
one of the guys is like facing the other way, like things like that, which looked a little off. But yeah, no, kudos to the filmmaker, David Cronenberg on this one. It's just, I don't know what the point of the story was. It just, there's not much to it. Now, I know it's based on a book, which is based on a true story, but I read that it's very loosely based on a true story. The true story is more the addiction part,
Hmm.
and that they found him dead together at the end of that story. So one died, and then the other died like a couple days later, I think. And they found them both dead in their apartment. So, which is what happens kind of in this one. But yeah, I don't know. Like it was too long and not enough happened for me to like really enjoy it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm curious like what he was exactly going for here. Like obviously the addiction I think is right out at the forefront. Like that's very a huge part of the storyline and whatnot of, sort of the I guess weaker. I don't want to call him weaker, but he's definitely more of the emotional type. Like he's the one that gets hooked on the pills in this one. But like so the addiction part I understand, but it's like yeah, what else was this movie I guess trying to convey? Is it that, you know, I mean, they're very toxic. Like the fact that they are sharing women like without telling them and stuff like that. And so is it about like twins that get too close? Is it about family members that like have toxic traits, like about, toxic family aspects, and stuff like that? Yeah, it was weird. And then the fact that they're like gynecologists, so is it about like toxic masculinity in some ways too? Like about like gross, men in those situations? I don't know. I don't know. I don't feel like it's ever fully, besides the, addiction part of it, I don't think anything else was like fully explored enough for me. And yeah, I think the movie just sort of goes along but never has like a ton to say. It was like weird, like, and like I was an hour and like 15 minutes in this movie. I was like, is this movie ever become a horror movie? Like I thought for sure we were gonna get like this crazy body horror like shit at the end or something like that, but it just never came. And I'm like, okay, like I liked it was a good movie, no doubt about it. But I'm just curious, like, why this movie is rated so highly. I guess, like, what people loved about it so much, because I just feel like I'm missing something.
Yeah, so I'd been warned by like both you and Todd that it doesn't really go into horror too much. So I kind of expected that, but had I not known that, I would have been probably even more bummed out, right? I thought once you saw like them conjoined in that dream, that's where the body horror would start, and I especially thought that we'd get some like real horror when he has those like weird tools made for quote unquote
Yeah,
mutant women.
which that was really cool. That was like a really cool aspect. I just never wasn't. It
Didn't do
wasn't
anything.
explored.
Didn't do
Yeah,
anything with them. He
yeah.
like basically just killed his brother with them, which I
Hmm.
also like. I know it's skipping to the end, but I think it's important to the overall kind of story. I don't really understand what happened there at the end. Like, why did he kill his brother?
Was it in like a drug-induced like
Kind
coma
of
type
maybe,
thing?
yeah,
Like,
where
yeah,
they're like, let's separate like our conjoinedness, but they're not conjoined. Like they keep thinking they're conjoined in this weird way. They even
right,
like bring up the Siamese twins, Chang and Ang, and their sad story, how one of
right.
them had a heart attack and died, and the other brother basically lay next to him, knowing his time was also going to be up because they shared a body, but he lived another like what 9 to 10 hours basically with his dead twin,
Hmm.
and then died, which is kind of what the story is going for at the end, where they can't live without each other, despite their differences and how toxic they are together. But the kill just came, I don't know. I guess they could have done that better, where one dies maybe of the drug addiction as opposed to being killed. I don't know. It's just the tools I felt should have been something a little bit more than just
Right.
basically it could have been like anything. They could have used a fucking knife from the Chinese food they ordered the night before. Like it wouldn't have made a difference. So
Right.
yeah, I don't get it.
All right, go with me here. What if they weren't twins, but it was a single man with like split personality disorder?
So yeah, but the thing is that a lot of people say they're twins, right?
Right. Yeah.
So that would be cool if they went that route, right? Where they
Hmm.
never really directly address the fact that there are two of
Right.
them, but there's so many characters that meet both, and they talk
Right.
about
Yeah.
both at like the schools and at the hospital and everything like that. So, and that's weird. That's a weird thing that happened kind of throughout the movie too, where sometimes they were kind of addressed as two people, but sometimes people thought they were one. But
Yeah.
there was no real rule to like who and why, and it just they weren't like close to the fact that there's two of them, but they were somehow using it's a really odd movie.
Yeah, well, speaking of odd, can we go to the very beginning of the movie
Sure.
where
Oh my God.
they're young boy. The movie opens with them as young boys, like, I don't know, 11, 12 years old or something like that,
Hmm.
going up to one of their neighborhood girls. And what do they ask if they can like tag team her or something like that?
They asked the girl,
Like as a
do
science experiment?
you want to have sex in a bathtub?
Yeah.
Because they talk about a theory that fish don't have sex because they live underwater. They can transfer like sperm essentially
Mhm.
without the act of sex.
That's right.
But if you're a land mammal, you need to actually have sex to do that transfer of sperm. So as an experiment, they're curious, are we able to impregnate this fucking girl by just essentially jizzing in the bath and it would
Right. What
it's
was the point of that
I
scene?
think
I
the
don't-
point of it was to show their interest in science and
Yeah.
gynecology,
Yeah.
but they could have, man, they could not have picked a weirder way to fucking do it. And it's such a short and abrupt end to that scene. It's
Right.
not like I expected them to show like a good 10 minutes of them as kids being like kind of fucked up kids that just like want to bring experiments too far. But it's
Hmm.
like, boom, no, they're not kids anymore. They're teens. And then even that, like they're in school for 3 minutes, doing, experiments on corpses, and boom, they graduate, and then boom, story begins in the
Yeah.
present time. It's just like, okay,
Yeah,
why?
I mean, yeah, I guess it's more just like expectations versus like what I guess Cronenberg was looking to do with this. But like, you would think he would have went the route of something like that, where like, yeah, you follow them like in their like sort of disturbed kids or whatever that want to do like these sort of crazy experiments or something like that. But yeah, like I mean, it just wasn't, he wasn't wanting to make a horror movie here, I suppose, and he was wanting to go sort of a different route. Kudos to him because I think for the most part, he pulled it off well. I just think it wasn't your typical Cronenberg movie, and I think that's sort of what threw me off with this one at the end of the
Yeah,
day.
but he also teases the Cronenberg kind of type
Yeah,
with like the little body horror and everything like that, but
right.
then
Yeah,
never
it's like a
actually.
tease. Yeah, he's like
Yeah,
teasing you, but this was like immediately after The Fly too, right? Was this his
yeah,
follow-up to The Fly, I
I think
think?
so.
Yeah, which is interesting. But
What you think about the three-way that they were gonna have the two brothers and the girl? This is the other girl. It's not the actress. I thought that was super weird. They're like dancing together,
oh yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
then Elliot is like leading them to the bedroom. It's
Right,
just like
yeah.
God, it's such a weird.
Dude,
It's
they
a
have like
weird
it's a
movie.
really weird they have like a yeah, obviously like a really bizarre relationship where he's sort of Elliot's sort of obviously the strong
Yeah,
one,
he's a
not physically, but sort of like the stronger, one as
well,
far
he is
as
taller
con yeah, all right, right,
apparently.
that's right, by like a few
A
millimeters or
few
something.
millimeters. Yeah.
It's a good line. But yeah, he's like the stronger one, mentally and confidently and whatnot. He's the one that goes out and sort of, like you said, he does sort of all of the speaking engagements and stuff like that. Whereas Elliot's the more sensitive one that doesn't get with the women and stuff like that. So yeah, like I'm Bev. I mean, so Elliot feels like he has to like look after Bev, sort of be his mother in some ways,
Yeah.
like, like a very like motherly or fatherly figure type to him, where he feels like he needs to protect him, share women with him, but Bev's all for it. He's not any better because he's like, yeah, like I'll, trick these women into essentially, I what would you call that? Like, is it like rape at that point? Like the women, like I don't know, like I don't know, like
Yeah, that's a good
it's like
question.
deception.
It
Like the
kind of
woman
is, right? Because she's not
is
giving,
she's not consenting
yeah, she's
to
not
that.
giving true
Yeah,
consent, right?
right.
She's
So
consenting to the act, but not to the
right,
person. So yeah, I'd say
right.
it's in the rape
It's definitely in the
field.
rape atmosphere. So it's very disgusting, very icky. And then like it's the most bizarre part is that the woman like comes back to him, like
Mhm.
this woman, the actress,
Yeah,
um, who I don't know, she was okay. I feel like I
yeah.
didn't love her character either. I feel
Mm.
like she they could have done better with her. But yeah,
I almost found
this
the
whole
other
movie's just
girl more
weird to me.
compelling. The one that's
Oh,
like
oh
more
yeah,
with Elliot
yep,
near the end.
yep,
I found her more compelling than the
yeah.
actress, which
The
is weird
redheaded
because yeah.
one, yeah. Hmm.
So like at one point she's just like starts to have kind of like the sexual tension with Bev, like
Yeah,
she shows up nude to take a shower and stuff like that. Like I
right.
found her story more interesting, which is not what it's supposed to be. And
Yeah. Yeah, the other actress had she had just like a very weird tone to her.
yeah,
It almost like didn't feel like based in reality at times. Yeah, I mean the whole movie just has this like really weird vibe going for it.
it does.
Um, yeah, but
Yeah, and some weird lines like we talked about,
Mhm.
of course, the first one there, but there's also one time they're talking about a woman who did it with a Labrador Retriever,
Oh
and
yeah.
it's just like, okay, like that served no purpose at all.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was a weird one. Yeah.
definitely. Yeah. I mean, but once again, kudos to Jeremy Irons, man. He did kill it, man.
Oh fuck
You
yeah,
you have like a lesser actor, and I think this movie probably sucks, honestly.
yeah.
But like Irons is just so good in this that like every time like Bev and Elliot are on screen, which is like the majority of the movie, I actually can't think of a time they're probably not on screen. Um,
Yeah. Did
it's
you know
great.
they were third choice? Jeremy Irons was the third choice for
Really
this movie. Yeah.
interesting.
It was supposed to be William Hurt at first, but he
Not
declined.
familiar with the name.
He's in a lot of stuff.
Okay.
He's mostly known now for being General Ross in the MCU, but he's passed away
Okay.
unfortunately now. And the other one was Robert De Niro. That was the second
Oh,
choice,
wow.
but he was
Interesting.
busy doing something as well. So Jeremy Irons was the third choice, and I mean,
Cool.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. And De Niro probably could have pulled this off too. Obviously,
It would have
he's a
been a
great
very
actor
different
too.
movie though.
It would
Like
have been
but that's
definitely.
any
Yeah.
role really. Like people
Right.
give it their own flair, right? But
Yeah.
yeah, it's and what did one element I thought was so weird and I don't understand why were the surgeries with like these red robed
Oh yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
it was like almost like
Right.
spooky
It's
and
very
almost
like
it felt
cult
almost
like
surreal, like not real, like
yeah. Agreed. Agreed. That's why I like almost went to that like split personality disorder like type thing. I'm like, okay, like yeah, it was very bizarre, like very it looked almost like satanic or cult
yeah.
like. Um yeah, I didn't fully understand it.
And they never really talk about it. So it's just
No,
like
it's never
a
fully
thing.
explored. Like I feel like I'm like, all right, did I miss something while
Right.
watching this? I don't know, dream sequences maybe. I mean, because you would
But
think,
it did happen because they lose kind of their practice because of
yeah,
Bev's
right.
meltdown on the operating table, which is actually one of the only true things from the actual story.
I mean,
Is
honestly, it could just be as simple as it looks cool. And like
probably right.
Cronenberg was like, all
Yeah.
right, let's do like these red
Yeah.
robes and make it'll look cool, like scene, imagery wise, which he
Hmm.
did.
Yeah, it
Give
did. Yeah.
credit to him for that. But
Hmm.
yeah, and then yeah, I mean, then the ending was just once again like no horror really. I mean, Bev kills Elliot, right?
Yeah.
Or is it yeah, Bev ends up killing Elliot with the tools, which why? I'm trying to remember why like Elliot agrees to it.
Well, they're both like high on the
They're both
pills.
like high. Oh yeah, that's right. Because they both get high to help like him wean off or something like that,
Yeah.
right? He's like, so we're gonna like get on the same cycle or whatever, which is another like weird like twin
Yeah.
thing, I guess.
And
They're going.
they're the whole point to it that from what they say is that they want to detach their spirits or detach their souls from each other.
Yeah,
So he goes to fucking town because we see the results of it, and his chest is all fucked up, and there's like
yeah,
fucking guts coming out everywhere. But you don't see it; it's off screen. Another bummer, especially coming from something
Yeah,
like
with
Cronenberg, you know.
Cronenberg, right? Yeah.
Um, and
I feel like
they don't show it again.
I
Just
almost feel like maybe there's some studio interference here where they're
maybe,
like,
yeah.
but you wouldn't think there would be after The Fly. They'd be like,
Right.
yeah, let's bring in all this practical effects stuff. So I'm assuming it was a Cronenberg choice.
Hmm,
Maybe he wanted to be taken more seriously and
maybe.
wanted to get away from like the sort of body horror stuff. Um, yeah, I don't know. Interesting.
Yeah,
Very,
and
very, very interesting.
yeah, it's weird too because after he kills him, Bev like goes to a payphone. Like he gets dressed, goes to a payphone across the street, calls, I think, the actress, but doesn't say anything, hangs it back up, goes back
Yeah.
into his apartment, and then dies on Elliot. Like he just like
Yeah.
slumped
How
over
does he
him.
die? Is he OD?
I guess like we don't again like it doesn't fucking explain anything. He just
Yeah.
I get what they were going for, that one twin couldn't live without the other,
Yeah.
but it just felt so abrupt and kind of I don't know. It's just yeah, the end didn't do it for me,
Yeah.
honestly.
Agreed. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we need something crazy here, but
Hmm.
I don't know. I mean, we're talking about we're a horror podcast, so we're trying to like talk about the horror aspects of it, and
There was none
it's just
basically.
yeah, not much.
Yep,
All right, I think we pretty much covered everything, Steve. So let's
I
get
agree.
into rating it. I'll start us off. Yeah, man. As a movie, just like it's good. It's a good movie as a horror movie. I think it fails
Hmm.
ultimately. I'm still gonna give it a 3.5. Because I think Jeremy Irons was great in it. I was never bored. Like I was always fascinated by what was happening while I watched it. I'd be interested to see if I felt the same way on a rewatch. If this would hold up as well. I kind of don't know if it would. On a rewatch, just because I feel like there's not a lot going for it, like horror wise or anything like that. But it's a really solid. I mean, Jeremy Irons. It's worth watching for Jeremy Irons' performance alone. If you are a Cronenberg completist, obviously you need to watch this. Um, so yeah, I mean, I give it a 3.5 out of 5 as a movie. If I were to rate this as a horror movie, though, it would definitely be lower.
See, 3.5.
Yeah.
Wow. So I gave it a 2.5
Okay.
out of 5. I wasn't having fun watching it, to be honest.
Yeah.
You know, like I appreciated the technical aspects of it. I appreciate Jeremy Irons' amazing performance, like really a career performance for Jeremy Irons here.
Hmm.
It just I was bored a lot of the time. Like, you know, I tried watching it last night and I fell asleep with like half an hour left because I just could not stay up anymore. So I had
Yeah.
to finish it like early this morning. You know, it wasn't holding my attention. I just appreciate it as a film, but yeah, if I don't have fun watching something, then
Hmm.
you know, it's just more questions than answers for me.
Yeah.
And I do have Todd's thoughts here.
Todd gave it the
So
highest rating.
yeah, he did. I was surprised. I really love to hear like more. But he says, with a lesser actor, I feel this could have been really a boring movie. But Jeremy Irons really did a great job playing two characters. I felt the female lead was weak and didn't see what the big deal of her was. And he gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Which, damn, I'm really curious if he would have like lowered it if we had spoken to him. Maybe he's got
Yeah.
some insight that we don't have.
I was like, yeah, I was probably like coming out of it. I think I was at like 4, but then like a week. I'm glad. Sometimes I like
Hmm.
watching movies because like a week later, like I was like, but right before we came into this review, I'm like, yeah, I'm definitely like downing my score. I think a little, and 3.5 probably still being a little generous after discussing it with you, honestly. Because like as a whole, like I said, as a horror movie, I'm probably more towards you at like a 2.5,
Hmm.
But I think it's a good drama, at the end of the day. So I
Yep.
think it's worth a watch for that. But as a horror movie, it's really not worth a watch. All right, what do our friends over at Letterboxd have to say about this one? Very high, currently sitting at a 3.8 out
Wow.
of almost a 4 out of 5 average over on Letterboxd. So there you have it. All righty, I think that's gonna wrap it up for this week's episode. Steve, what do we got next week?
We are heading to the future,
Ooh,
28 weeks into the future, to be exact,
oh,
as we review 28 weeks later. So we did 28 days later
I
last year.
missed that one.
Yeah, it's unfortunate
Yeah,
that you missed it, but you should watch it for the watch
yeah,
this one. And we wanted to do 28 weeks before 28
28
years that comes
years.
out like in May or June.
Hmm.
So yeah, so that we're gonna check it out. So 28 weeks later, not sure where it's streaming in the US. I have it on Blu-ray or DVD or whatever. So
Hmm.
That's how I'm gonna watch it.
Alrighty, yeah. So check it out, folks. 28 weeks later. Doesn't look like it's streaming free anywhere, but I could be wrong. Just on a quick Google search, it says you can get rent it for $3.99 pretty much anywhere, and
And
it might be streaming on one of your random things somewhere.
Paramount Plus in Canada.
Okay, there you go. So take a look around. You'll find it. We know you can. 28 weeks. I'm sure most of you own it on physical media, but if not, you can rent it for a low, low price for 28 weeks later in prep for 28 years later. Probably one of the most anticipated horror movies of this year. All right, folks. In the meantime, you can keep up with the podcast, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Threads. Just search the Horror Squad Podcast. You can email us anytime, the Horror Squad Podcast at gmail.com. But of course, the absolute best way to keep up with the podcast is our Discord. Completely and totally free to join. It's linked over on our Instagram, or send us an email or a DM and we will get you a link to join that Discord. Ton of amazing channels to sift through over there. Always something going on. Movie clubs every month hosted by Steve. VR things now. For anyone that owns a Oculus Quest, you can play VR with Steve does mini golf games, amongst other things. I think we're going to do a watch party on VR very soon as well. So you can do that. And like I said, horror news, horror, just random horror chats, even non-horror chats over there, horror games. It's an amazing community. So please come and join us over on our Discord. Also, don't forget, leave us a 5-star review on your favorite podcast app if you haven't already. Or if you'd like to support the pod, buy some merch, tpublic.com, the Horror Squad podcast. Wear those shirts, get a pillow. You can rest your head on us. You can drink coffee out of us. We got coffee mugs. We got everything over there on TeePublic. A few designs to pick from. Maybe we'll get a new one coming up soon. We'll see. Also, final episode merch over there as well. There's some t-shirts and stuff over there. So you can, if you want to rep our upcoming movie, the final episode, which the Indiegogo is still active. It's linked on our Instagram. If you want to donate anything towards the movie, we are still filming. Anything donated will go directly to production of that film. So we thank you to everyone that has already donated and to everyone that may donate in the future. And I think that's about it, folks. Don't forget, once again, important dates. October 2nd through the 5th, it's just a bunch of Halloween weekend. And May 3rd, Wicked New England, halfway to Halloween Festival. The Horror Squad podcast will be in attendance for both of those events. And don't forget, stick around for our interview with Matthew Finlan at the end of this episode, who is promoting his movie, Hell of a Summer, currently in theaters. So that's it, folks. Don't forget, stick around for the interview right now. See ya.
Bye. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Horror Squad podcast, where today we have a very special guest. You can see him play Ezra in the new film Hell of a Summer, which is currently in theaters, Matthew Finlan. Welcome to the show, Matt.
Thanks for having me. I'm so stoked to be here.
Thanks. Yeah, we're really excited to speak to you as well. Let's begin right with Hell of a Summer. Can you tell us a little bit about what the movie is about and your character, Ezra?
Yeah, so Hell of a Summer follows Jason Hochberg, who is a little too old to return as a summer camp counselor. And on the eve before all of the campers arrive, the counselors find out that there is, in fact, a masked serial killer picking them off one by one. And Jason, who is the outcast of the group, decides to put his morals aside and save the people who may not have saved him. And I'm fortunate enough to play Ezra, who is the flamboyant drama camp counselor at Camp Pineway. And, I think we all were fortunate enough to grow up with a version of Ezra in our lives. And yeah, definitely the night does not end the way the counselors thought it would. And that is Hell of a Summer.
Yeah. So this was both a feature directorial debut and writing debut for Bill Brick and Finn Wolfhard. What was it working with them, and how did you get involved in the film?
Oh my gosh, working with Finn and Billy, or Billy and Finn, as I affectionately call them, it was a dream come true. They're so smart and quick. They know the genre that they're playing off of, all of their references. And so the script itself is an homage to like 80s slashers and coming of age films, kind of like Superbad meets Sleepaway Camp. And so that was really fun. And when you can pick up on creatives touchstones when you're reading the script go like, oh, this kind of reminds me a little bit of that and that. And then you meet with them later and they're like, oh, that was the idea. It's like, perfect. Okay. Then you know that you're sort of in the same universe with the team you're creating. And in terms of how I got involved, it was the classic case of an audition came through
Okay.
my inbox and I was like, I gotta do this one. What was interesting is I was actually out of the country. Um, I was on vacation and I was in a hotel room and I had to do this self-tape, and that is the bane of my existence. They always say as an actor, if you want to book a role, first you got to book a vacation because they will overlap. And so, yeah, that was sort of an example of to me that I use in my life where sometimes I'm like, if it feels right, go for it. Because I'll tell you, I was out partying the night before, I was exhausted, and I wanted to do something that same day. And it was like, I got to get this tape done. I got to get it done by 10:30 a.m. Oh my God, this sucks. But I did it, threw it on because I was like, I know Ezra, I know this guy. And I was like, this script looks good and I want to be part of it. And so I'm really glad that I was able to do that. And yeah, then the boys called me in for a callback. And the very next week, it moved very, very quick. And then we booked it and we were shooting off at Campo Pemmican in Newborough, Ontario.
Beautiful. So you got the part, and all of a sudden, the movie it's really fun. Like yes, it is like horror comedy, but the comedy really like I thought was hilarious, and it seemed like a really fun vibe on set. So what was the vibe on set? Was it as fun as it came through on film?
Oh yeah, the vibe on set was like, okay, guys, we're actually gonna shoot this one. Like, let's settle down, let's do
Right.
it. Like it was insane. Like from the actual accommodations we were staying at, which was this, Airbnb where we were making friendship bracelets and singing karaoke and, partying on the weekends, to the actual summer camp that we were filming at. Like normally everybody is sort of left in their trailers and you're really, for better or for worse, you're kind of separated and you're waiting. And sometimes if, there's a group of you in the same scene, you'll be together, on the sidelines. But because of the nature of the location, we were in like one cast holding cabin the whole time, doing anything from like playing Uno to making up dances to writing little stories to being like, oh my gosh, wait, when does the sun set? Let's go on the lake. Let's see if we can catch it. Let's canoe around. Are they shooting any exteriors? And so
Mhm.
that is not the case with every cast you're going to work with. And it's not because every cast doesn't love each other the same way, but we were just so fortunate to be forced into the same environment, like kind of like a summer camp. And you really
Mhm.
do just fall into that rhythm. Like every meal break, even with the crew, we were eating in the camp meal hall. So, like, fun fact, anybody who sees this movie, I can just tell you that scene where like Ezra picks up the phone and he's like, "Oh, the line's been cut." Oh, I've always wanted to say that. That is in the actual meal hall that we would eat all of our meal breaks in. So literally before that scene was being shot and after it was shot, they'll turn the lights on and like we're served like spaghetti and we were just sitting there as a crew eating. So it was really fun and yeah, such a joy. I would say it's probably the most fun I have ever had on set consistently from day one to the last day. And so yeah.
That's amazing. Flipping into a very different kind of horror film, you also appeared as Gunnar in Orphan First Kill. So, what was your experience working on that film?
Working on Orphan First Kill was an absolute delight. I was a huge, 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 huge fan of the original. Saw it in theaters. So when I learned that I was going to be part of this project, I was overwhelmed and actually it was like out of body for me because when I auditioned for it, it was under code name Esther. And I remember reading the breakdown being like, if this isn't a sequel to Orphan, this is a ripoff for sure. And so I was like, I think I know what they're going for. I need to be like an American dick. Like, let's go for it. And so leaned in, got it, got to the other part too that I'll say was really cool about it was that Gunnar was originally written as a Yale rower. So when I booked it, I called the director Brent and we had a conversation and I was like, I don't think I'm a rower, man. Like I can't bulk up that fast. Like there's no way. And he was like, don't you worry, we've changed it. Your character's going to be a fencer and we'll make it so. And I was like, oh, and it was really cool that they tailored it more to me and my body type. Um, And honestly, I think Gunnar being a fencer makes more sense than him being a rower.
Hmm.
Just sort of like his personality is very like fencing is all about, finding the hole and getting through it and really like taking advantage of your opponent's weaknesses. And
Right.
so Gunnar and Esther have that sort of relationship. But that was also my first full-length feature that I'd ever been part of. So that was insane. Julia Stiles was my mom. I was like, what are we doing here? The first time I met Julia, I remember we were at a restaurant and I was like, wow, this gorgonzola cheese sounds like a lot. And she was like, it's pronounced gorgonzola. And I, oh my God, I'm an idiot. So it was so much happening at once, but then also it was a really cool insight to horror and how it's made, especially Orphan First Kill and how the illusions were dealt with because that was a huge thing about that piece was like we're gonna do it practically. And so, anytime that we're on screen with Isabel, myself, Julia, and Rossif are in 6-inch disco platform
Ooh,
boots. And so like everybody rehearses the scene in your bathroom or your bedroom or whatever, and you're like, I know how to do this. It's gonna be great. And then you arrive on the day and they're like, great, can you do it in these 6-inch platform heels? And you're
right.
like, really? Okay. Like even all the fight scenes, like if you watch when I'm running down the hallway after Esther, I am in those
Oh,
platform boots
geez.
chasing her. We're running down the stairs. I was doing it in those boots. Like it was insane. And yeah, such a privilege to be part of that cinematic universe because I was a huge, huge, huge fan of it. And now as you said, they're making another one. And if I remember getting drinks with Brent after the movie came out, and we were spitballing what a third one would be. And I'm not saying any spoilers or anything, but if they go in the direction that Brent and I went, I am so excited as an audience member as well because I
Right.
just yeah, I love the story. I mean, my character dies, so unless they do another prequel, I don't think I can go back, and I don't think they can age me down the way they can age
Right.
Isabel.
That's awesome. One thing I couldn't wait to talk to you about is a TV show that you do, a ghost hunting show called Ghosting with Luke Hutchie. Can you tell us a little bit what that's about?
Yeah, so ghosting is our version of like BuzzFeed Unsolved meets The Simple Life mashed together. And Luke and I are both actors, and we do a lot of horror, as you mentioned, Orphan, Hell of a Summer. Luke created his own sort of vampire series called Ezra, funny
Mm,
enough, same character name.
right.
And yeah, we took our love of horror and we're like, okay, what if we go into these haunted places? But Luke's a skeptic and I'm a believer. We were like, we need an unbiased opinion. So every episode, we bring with us another celebrity guest who's also our friend, who you would know from horror or suspense or thriller, film and TV, to a location that sort of mirrors their fictional experience to see if that's given them a leg up. So, for example, season one, we bring Kevin Alves, who's in Yellow Jackets,
Mhm.
and on that show they spend a lot of time in an abandoned cabin in the woods. So we brought him to a place called Alliston, Ontario, and the McDonald log cabin that's supposedly haunted by a demon,
Right.
because we wanted to see if Kevin's fictional experience in a cabin would make him, more suitable to ghost hunt in a cabin. And I'll be honest, it's about as loose of a thread as that sounds. None of us know what we're doing, but we certainly know how to have fun. And that's basically it. It's like akin to watching a scary movie at a sleepover with your friends, and you're scared, but you're laughing the whole time. And I think that's the beautiful thing about comedy and horror is they ride that fine line the
Mhm.
whole time, and the scares make the laughs funnier and vice versa.
Yeah. You explore a lot of really cool places on that show. I mean, SDG jail in Cornwall. You did the Aurelia Opera House in Aurelia, which was really cool. Not to mention with Cynthia Kiss, which I had no idea was your sibling. That was really cool to see. You do an
I
episode of
know.
Priyanka, Frankie Grande. So what makes a good location, and what were your kind of most memorable locations that you did in the two seasons?
Okay, I think a good location is one that allows us to film there for free.
Right.
No. I joke, but some people think we have like big bucks, and I'm like,
Right.
honey, we got, little cameras and flashlights. No, but it's funny, the SDG jail was awesome. I just was
Mm,
talking about that. Love that location. And so what makes a good location is somewhere with like a lot of tragedy and a lot of time. And I know it sounds bad because, we need to be sensitive around certain incidences, but
Sure.
like after 100 years, the publication ban gets lifted and you're able to talk about it. And frankly, a lot of these histories would be forgotten if it weren't for us telling them in our modern way. So I always say that tragedy plus time equals a haunting. And if we can find a location that has a really good story, that's normally when we get in. Because some people are like, you should investigate Castle Loma in Toronto if you
Right.
know it. But funny enough, it's not actually haunted. It's a new build. It doesn't have any tragedy. The man went bankrupt. That's the saddest thing about it. But
Right.
like, it's the economy. That's going to be all of us. So, I really do think the tragedy makes for a great spot. And this new season, we go all across Canada
Mm.
and we get some of the best haunts, I would argue, in all of North America, truly, because Canada's huge.
Yeah.
We go as far north as the Yukon and we hit places that were known for the Klondike Gold Rush, which are just massive. And then we go as far east as Newfoundland and Labrador off
Mm.
the coast to this tiny, tiny, tiny little island that doesn't even have a stop sign on it. It's so small. And everywhere in between. And I would say one of the scariest places we hit was a school called the Lunenburg Academy in Lunenburg, Nova Scotia.
Mm.
But what's so scary about it is it's built on Gallows Hill, which is where they used to hang everybody. And it's literally the highest hill in town and the surrounding area. So as you're driving to Lunenburg, you see this school atop the hill and it's surrounded by a cemetery, like
Mm.
360. It's just an ocean of tombstones. It's actually insane that there are swing sets so close to dead bodies. And
Right.
it's season 2, episode 5 with Nikki Ramel.
Mm.
You got to check it out, folks, because I would say there's some of the most irrefutable paranormal evidence that we have captured on our show, hands down, hands down. Um, there's a murderer, a well-known documented murderer who was hung there. His name is Peter Mailman. He executed his wife, and his spirit still haunts that building to this day. I will say, go check it out. It's crazy. It's insane. I would never want to be in that school alone. Enough said.
Yeah, yeah, I really enjoyed going through the show. I actually live in Ottawa, and I think it'd be cool if you did the Ottawa Jailhouse, which is has
We
a lot
have
of
looked
stories.
into that.
Did you?
Yes. Yes. There's also that's not the high hostel jail, is it?
It is,
Or
yes.
okay,
Yes,
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, that and then there's this like Stonehouse Museum or something that's on the Rideau Canal.
Mm.
It's limestone. We've looked at Ottawa a bunch and honestly, I would love to get into what's the Prime Minister's address on Sussex Avenue or something?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like 24 Sussex the street.
24 Sussex. I
Yeah.
don't know if it's necessarily haunted. It's definitely in need of
Well, it's
repair.
abandoned. So.
Exactly, it's abandoned now.
Right.
So I was like, leave it to us. We should get in there before, whoever takes it next.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Hopefully you do get to do a season 3 because I think it's a really not only entertaining show and with some good scares, but it's very like I like the historical aspect of it. I get to learn more about Canada and some of the places that you go to, and I think that's super interesting.
Well, thank you for saying that because that's, we call it the vegetable kind of in the lasagna. You're
Right.
not supposed to know the histories there, but we appreciate it too. And we learn so much about Canada, a lot.
Mhm.
And one of the really cool things that happened actually just shortly was like when filming this season, we went to Vancouver Island to go to Craigdarroch Castle, and
Mhm.
it's owned by the family, the Dunsmuir, that got all their money from coal mining. And then our next location was in the Yukon, the Caribou Hotel. And parked outside of the Caribou Hotel was a little steam engine that said the Dunsmuirs on
Oh,
it.
nice.
And one of their trains that was used to carry coal up and down the whole West Coast. And we were like, that is actually insane. We just came from the Dunsmuirs Castle and now we're outside like their historic train. So it did feel like Canada was also kind of quietly championing our second season too, because it was like that's like bizarre.
Right.
That was like a coincidence 100 years in the making. Like you can't, it's insane.
Yeah, absolutely. Just going back to Hell of a Summer before we wrap up, what would be your pitch to our listeners as to why they should check out the film?
Mm. You should check out Hell of a Summer if you like to laugh with your friends, if you love new stories told by new voices, if you love Finn Wolfhard and his bone structure, if you love, if you ever went to summer camp, you need to go. If you were ever jealous of the kids who got to go to summer camp, you need to go. And if there was ever somebody in your life who was prettier than you and made you feel bad, you need to go check out this movie. Um, yeah, I think camp has never been this campy before, and everybody should check out Hell of a Summer.
Yeah, I agree. Matthew, it's been a pleasure speaking to you. Is there anything that you'd like to promote, or where can people find you on social media if they want to follow your career?
Oh my God. They can check out my OnlyFans. No, that's a joke. Not yet. Not yet. No, people, if they're interested in following me, can check me out on Instagram at Matthew Finlan or on TikTok at Matthew Finlan as well. Yeah, and I would love it if they go to YouTube and check out Ghosting season 1 and 2. And, if you're in America, go check out Hell of a Summer in theaters, and hopefully it's coming to a streaming service in Canada soon.
Yeah, absolutely. And for Canadians, also CBC Gem. I didn't even know that was a thing until I was looking for this show, and I'm like, hey, this is actually pretty awesome.
Literally, I know, I know. So it's available. It's out there and it's all free. So if you don't check it out, you're kind of homophobic and we see you.
Right. Everyone, go check out Hell of a Summer in theaters right now. Matthew, it's been an absolute pleasure, and I look forward to seeing the rest of your career.
Thank you so much. Can't wait to chat again.